Hello everyone, welcome to Dan Does Stuff. Today we're talking hummingbirds. Yes, those little power wing beaters. They are a favorite bird at my house and we've been feeding them for years. Couple cool facts about hummingbirds. They actually winter down in Mexico and Central America, which is crazy because we're up here in Minnesota and those little buggers fly that entire distance. So typically what they will do is they will migrate north to the breeding grounds all over the United States as early as February, which is crazy. Like, that's pretty early for those little tiny birds to be flying up north. What's crazy is they don't fly up super high like other birds that migrate. They actually fly down low to the ground so they can hit up little nectar stations as they go, just with their awesome little tongues that shoot out and grab nectar and go in and out, and in and out, and in and out. And they actually can fly up to 23 miles per day, which, again, amazing little birds. And they are the only birds that can fly and hover up, down, front, back, and upside down. Super, super cool fact. So I want to talk about just hummingbird feeders and what me and my family do to get them here on our property. What you want to do is make some hummingbird nectar and get some hummingbird feeders. I'll show you a couple hummingbird feeders that I have that have worked for us over the years. I'll also show you how to make the nectar, which is a 4-to-1 ratio. So if you do 4 cups of water, you do 1 cup of sugar. Pretty simple. Heat up the water, boil it, and then let it cool, and then put it in your feeders. And I will tell you, don't put any dye in your nectar. Just plain clear water and sugar is all you need. To go off a little bit more about hummingbirds, in August and September is actually when they start heading south. And the ruby-throated hummingbirds, that's what we have a lot of here in Minnesota. What they'll do is gather in Florida, Texas, and Louisiana in around that September time frame, my goodness. And then they actually make the trip over the Gulf of Mexico or move along the coast to get into Mexico and Central America to spend their lovely little winters in some nice weather instead of being here in the freezing cold. So let's start with the nectar. I'll show you how I make that. Now it's time to make a little nectar for our flappy friends. I have 4 cups of water. As I mentioned before, this is a 4-to-1 ratio. I have a lot of hummingbird feeders here, so we're easily going to go through 4 cups of water. So 4 cups of water in here. I have the water heating up, and I have 1 cup of sugar. 4-to-1, 4-to-1. And the reason why you want to heat up the water is it dissolves more sugar, so you have a more concentrated sweet nectar. Similar to if you're making lemonade or sweet tea, if you want to taste really good, you want to heat up the water and add the sugar, because then it makes it even more sugary and sweet. So this is heated up. Take my 1 cup of sugar, dump it in, wooden spoon, stir it until it dissolves completely and you don't see any granulars of sugar in there. And then after that, turn up the heat, take it off, and let it cool completely to room temperature. You can speed up the process if you want to put it in your fridge, if you have room for that. Otherwise, just sit and let it cool, then we'll fill up our feeders. Now that our nectar has all cooled down, I'm going to go through some of the different types of hummingbird feeders that we have. First one, this is one of our oldest ones. Nothing too crazy. There's these little yellow things in there to attract and make them look more like flowers, but the critters over the years, raccoons have attacked these things and pulled them out, but hummingbirds still like them. Show you kind of how this works. You unscrew it. You can clean these really easily after you refill the nectar. They're easy to clean. These pop off. And there's little perches so they can perch and drink. And you just fill up like that. There's a top, but that's just for your hook to hang it up. So that's one version. Next is this one, a little bit different style. There's no little perches, it doesn't look like it is, but there's these lips where they can kind of stand on there as well and drink. This one you unscrew and then it comes out different pieces. So this one's really easy to clean, pretty simple. And then the third one, I'm not going to empty this one, but this one by far is my favorite. And the reason for it is, if you have this hung up low to the ground, like on a shepherd's hook, ants crawl up and they can get into these things and you just have ants galore. So up on top, there's a little spot where you can just pour water on there. So when the ants go up in there, yeah, they drowned in the top. And no ants down here, which is great because then the hummingbirds don't see them and get scared away. But this too, you just unscrew it and all these pop out too, and they have these little flip down perches. This is really nice, one of my favorite ones. Then finally, look at this little guy. It's just a single flower. You can unscrew it and pour the nectar right in. It has these little clips. So you can clip it onto your sunglasses or on your beard. Maybe it doesn't work too good. And hopefully you get a hummingbird right up by your face. Pretty cool. These come in like a pack of 4, I think. Super sweet. Let's get them filled up and then I'll show you kind of where I hang them. Now with hummingbirds, they are territorial. However, if you have multiple feeders, then you can have all kinds of little hummingbirds. I was just out here this morning, I saw 3 females and they're going to these different spots. So what I do is I keep it consistent of what feeder I have hanging where. So this one I hang up over here. Usually the ants don't get up this lattice work stuff that my wife has. So that one's always good. Bees get to it. And then this one goes over here. And you'll see hummingbirds going bouncing back and forth of which one they like. Here's another spot in my yard where we like to put a feeder. And this is one of my favorite things to do. I do it with bird feeders as well. I use fishing line. So all you gotta do is get some fishing line, tie a little weight around it, chuck it up over a branch in your tree. Because then, especially with bird feeders, squirrels can't climb down fishing line. And it looks like they're floating in the air, which is cool. So it deters the squirrels, raccoons, and it just looks cool. So right there, that's a female. Using the perch. There you have it, a little information about hummingbirds. If you want them on your property, make sure you get that nectar made and your feeders hung out early in the spring, so then you catch them as they're migrating in through your state or Providence, depending on if you're in Canada watching this, eh? Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something as well. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.